Hi everyone. We're going to get things started. It's going to be quite an amazing evening from the energy that I'm feeling in here right now. So welcome. My name is Michelle Leahy and I am absolutely honored and very excited to be your host of the fourth season, the first event of the fourth season of Ideas Powered by Passion. And I thank everyone that is here this evening. And I'm quite sure that we've all come here with the intention of sharing ideas and listening to each other. And I thank you for coming with an open mind. And I'm really excited what we're going to generate here this evening. So I'm going to be your host. And is this anyone's first Ideas Powered by Passion? Me too. So we'll be going through this together. So Ideas Powered by Passion, it says something, I think, about Cape Bretoners. When we get really excited about something, we really want to share it, but we also want to listen too. So we're quite a creative group of people, quite innovative. We're quite resilient, and I'm thinking the people that we're going to hear from this evening, they are a testament to the people that live on this island. So what's going to happen tonight, we're going to start off with a soundbite. So we're going to have the first speaker, then we're going to have a musical guest, and then we'll move on to our keynote. I was asked to say why I keep coming back to Ideas Powered by Passion. So my answer to that is this: although this is my first, I can guarantee you from what I'm experiencing right now, this will be the first of many. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this evening. And just to let you know that the washrooms are at the back of the room. That's something that I have to go through here. So we're going to get this evening started. I'm going to introduce our first guest of this evening. So Madonna Doucette, she works full-time at the AIDS Coalition of Cape Breton as their lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender educator and coordinator for Cape Breton Island. Madonna advises schools, businesses, organizations, and individuals on the subject of homophobia, transphobia, HIV prevention, and bullying. She's the founder and co-editor of Coastal Braid, a popular online magazine for the island's queer community. She's an active member of Pride Cape Breton, facilitates a transgender support group, and works extensively with youth involved in gay-straight alliances. On a personal note, Madonna is a proud single mom of 3 teenage boys, and this is my favorite part, she's a fan of all things Doctor Who. So please join me in welcoming Miss Madonna Doucette.
I'm going to go sit down. Hello, everyone. A week ago, I had no voice, so I'm very glad that I have the squeaky version for you tonight. So I am here to speak on LGBT education and how it directly can impact HIV prevention and awareness. And I'm also going to just speak in the beginning, at least, general terms about what our LGBT community around here looks like. So about a year ago, I decided that I wanted to start making a difference. I was at a low point in my life, and it was almost therapeutic when I started to put my energies towards doing something productive in our own community. I'm a proud Cape Breton girl. So I started my magazine, my online magazine, and that was the first step towards reaching out to the LGBT, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. That was a really huge success, and it awakened me to the fact that we're sort of hungry in this area to connect as a community even more than we have already done. I started volunteering with youth at that time as well. You know, everyone here has probably heard of Dan Savage's It Gets Better videos. It's an internet phenomena that started back in 2010. And basically, for those who haven't ever heard of it, it's this message that says, you know, we understand that life as a queer, LGBT, or youth is hard. We understand that many of you feel like life is not worth living because we've gone through this. These are all words from adult survivors, is a way of looking at it for being an LGBT person. Keep the faith. Things get better. And this message has been replicated over and over again in thousands and thousands of videos all over the world. This voice of the adult, gay, and trans community throwing out a lifeline to youth who are scared and, quite frankly, vulnerable to suicide or self-harm. It saved thousands of lives, granted, But I think that we're at a crossroads in our community where we have to stop saying it's going to get better and start making it get better. And so that's where my drive is. I was lucky enough to get a position at the AIDS Coalition this past June. And that started my career path as the LGBT coordinator for Cape Breton. I've always had a general knowledge of what the AIDS Coalition does, but it wasn't until I started working there that I realized just the tremendous amount of heroism, I guess, that happens underneath that roof of that very small building on Bentinck Street. My executive director is Christine Porter, and she is an angel that walks around us. Unknown, unrecognized in many situations, but driven to always do the right thing. And it is such an honor to work with someone who is motivated the same way as I am, by heart and by the attention and the difference that one individual can make on another individual's life. So under her guidance, I started my job. It's a big job. I'm one person, and I've quickly come to realize that I could be 10 people and there would still be places for me to go and people for me to speak with. What I'm doing primarily is I go into schools and I speak to youth about LGBT issues. I go in and I tell them that everything that they're experiencing and feeling is normal, and I help them build communities. And all of this, it sounds very one-sided, but there is this lovely side effect. The more normalized the subject of being gay or transgender becomes, the more available medical resources are to these people who are right now, for the most part, embarrassed to speak to even their family doctor about these issues. HIV is, you know, most of us in this room, we grew up or were around during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. I remember that. It saturated all the media that I grew up with, and it really formed a solid base of the concept of safe sex to me. But the generations that are coming up now, safe sex really isn't a topic that's addressed that often. We see instances of risky behavior, and that risky behavior is more common, I would say right now, within the young gay population. But that can change. It's not a stereotype, it's that they don't have the same resources and support that other members of our community have. When your sexual orientation is one of the minorities, or if you're gender variant, you are, in many cases, so far removed from the mainstream society, you don't realize how much that can impact somebody. When I do speeches in front of adults I do professional development a lot. So I go into a workplace, I'm given an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day to do professional development. And oftentimes, I know that my target audience are straight and non-transgender. But the value of speaking to them is that the more normalized and comfortable you are with this conversation, the more accepting it will be. There's this lovely ripple effect that happens within our society. Transphobia, homophobia, phobia, it's fear of the unknown, something that makes you nervous. But there was this really neat study that was done in the Bible Belt of the United States, and it showed that individuals who were staunch homophobes changed their opinion completely once they actually knew a gay person. Once there was a personality and a face and a heart and a soul, appropriate in the Bible Belt, to put to this label, all of a sudden it became less fearful. So when I go into places and I educate people, I try to reduce that phobia by making people realize that it's just we're all the same. Because I'm a mom, I have a job, I have a mortgage, I have beautiful children that I'm trying to raise and hopefully turn out into good, strong young men. And I'm a lesbian. I am the exact same as everybody else. I have the same fears, I have the same hopes and dreams. Everything is the same, you know, but when we talk to this subject, it becomes difficult because we think that we've achieved everything. We think that we've made it. We can, after all, in Canada, we can marry, as long as we find the right person. Nova Scotia just amended its Human Rights Act to include protection for the transgender community. That's great. But all of that are just baby steps in a society that still has a lot of work to do. To have it on paper that it's acceptable to be this or that, and to have it in practice is two different things. We still live in a society of don't ask, don't tell. A lot of people think that that's good enough, but I don't. I don't think it's good enough that we can allow people to be gay or to be trans, but not in our face. That shouldn't be an option for us. How can we go forward if we're forcing people to not be who they really are in public? And then, I don't want to see us just to survive anymore. I want to see us thrive. The concept of us thriving here in Cape Breton is a really interesting one, because we talk about brain drains and we talk about people leaving Cape Breton. Well, I'm here to tell you that one of the reasons we're losing some very beautiful people is because gay and trans people are leaving the island to find some place where they'll feel more comfortable. I have friends in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver, and they're doctors and business owners and leaders in the entertainment industry, and they're doing miraculous things in their newly adopted communities. But they could have been doing those miraculous things, but when they were 18, they got the hell out of Dodge. They left here so they could be who they were, and once they found a community that they felt acceptance, then they did miraculous things. Well, if we can gear ourselves up to be more understanding and more accepting here, we could maybe keep some of these amazing young people that are going through schools right now and make them realize that they could have the life that they want here. I would like to see everyone genuinely change. What I'm doing right now is going into schools and talking one-on-one. I get engagements. I go and I speak to 5 to 12-year-olds at the Boys and Girls Club. That was the most nerve-wracking. I was way more nervous doing that speech than this speech, because, oh gosh, what am I going to say to a 5-year-old? They were brilliant. They asked the most amazing questions. They were open. They were excited. And I've since found out from the director at the Boys and Girls Club that they have been begging for me to come back. I thought that I was a train wreck there, and it turns out that they loved it. They are so open to these ideas. I want us to try and change some of the hate language that has systematically worked itself into our culture, and we don't even recognize it for what it is anymore. When children who are still in the closet are told every single day in their schools and in their peer group that something's so gay when it's lame and stupid, when the lowest of low insults that you can give to a guy is to call him a faggot, then we're looking at systematic brainwashing that these kids are subjected to, because their self-esteem is already in jeopardy. They're already feeling like there is something wrong with them and they wish it could change. And even though they laugh and carry on after they hear these words and they don't say anything, it does affect them. I mean, it is over and over again. But that's something else we can change. We can take those situations and stop them. 50 years ago, we had hate language that was in our culture, and we as a group of people decided that we didn't want to hear those words anymore. And we changed it. And now when people say those words, it is not okay. Well, that's what we need to do for anti-gay and anti-trans language that's out there right now. We need to stop the use of these words as though it's nothing harmful, because in fact, the reality of it is it's really harmful. When I first came out to my children, and that was fun, and this will be my thoughts at the end here. When I first came out to my children, I was so very nervous that I would be rejected, and I was an established, adult at this point. So I can understand to some level the anxiety that young people go through when they have to come out to their parents, and then come out to their family doctors, and the whole domino effect. Anyway, they were all incredible. Rowan and Breton and Gabriel are all my boys, and they're amazing human beings. And afterwards, it was about a month or two afterwards, I asked my oldest son, Breton. He had friends that were coming over all the time. And I asked him if he was ever embarrassed that his mom was a lesbian. because I was still stressing about it. He had, he was worried about what was for supper that night. Anyway, he looked at me and he said, if I have any friends that have a problem with you being gay, then I have a problem with them being my friends. That's where we need to get. Every single one of us needs to get to the point in their life where they stand up for this and that they understand that it's the right thing to do. And to reach out and get education if it's something you're lacking. It's okay if you don't know the proper language for the transgender community. It is confusing. I have a friend and she calls it pronoun hell. So if it's a confusing thing and it's stopping you from learning, then you can only blame yourself for your continued ignorance, because the information is there, and there are people out there like me, like Peter Steele with Pride Cape Breton, who are willing to do the work and the education and to have that conversation with you. We want to make the difference and bridge the gap. We want to make that gap so small that there is no gap, because our children shouldn't be hearing this poison in the schools and on the school ground, and we shouldn't be losing all these people to other places. And our adult and children who are members of the LGBT community should all have access to medical care and sexual education that keeps everyone equally safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madonna. Through my work at the university, we run a sexual diversity center, and I walked down there one day and I asked some of our volunteers, where are you from and what do you do? And this one girl, she was so energetic, and she said, well, I work with Madonna Doucette. And I said, that's great. And she said, she's my idol, and I want to be just like her. So you've definitely, you resonate with people within the university community, I'm certain, with people at the community at large. So thank you very much for sharing that story.